Welcome back to Otaku no Video. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Where today I am reviewing Mobile Suit Gundam 00, a more recent Gundam anime TV series, with a Gundam Wing-like premise. It's about a group of pilots who work for basically a terrorist organization that wants to end all war. Which, yeah, sounds crazy. And that's where 00 starts to get interesting, because these characters show up and they say they want to end all war, and the other characters say, that's crazy, how can you do that? What are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to accomplish? So the series gets interesting very quickly. Now the animation, I always like to point out the animation, is very typical for modern Sunrise. There's certainly enough detail for it to rise above the pack of most other anime series, but the flowing and lush animations are typically reserved for the mecha and the action sequences. You know, conversation sequences have enough frames to get their point across, but they're certainly not lushly done. The mecha designs are more like those of Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny, very shiny, sparkly, and sleek. One other neat thing is that this is set in AD, a couple hundred years in our future, and the mecha designs are all from different major world powers. So you get to see how different areas of the world kind of design their mecha, which is kind of a neat thing. And there are a lot of mecha designs in this series, especially as it moves on, so be prepared for that. Now, the direction overall is effective, but pretty unremarkable, actually. There are a lot of medium shots, i.e. shots from the belt up, and not a lot of close-ups, so there certainly are those, and not a lot of long shots. So you don't really get close in on characters that frequently, nor do you get those big sweeping shots you get often in Gundam Wing, for example. So as a result, it maintains its distance from the characters, which is actually appropriate because the main pilots in particular are all very broken people, frankly. They've all had various tragedies occur to them. That's not really a spoiler, I should hope. And they're trying to prevent those tragedies from occurring in the future, you presume. And they've all got major trauma to deal with, and seeing how they've dealt with that and how they're dealing with it now is one of the interesting points of the series, is that these characters are not traditional heroes in the sense of, say, a Flash Gordon. They are more modern or postmodern heroes, really. But what's nice is, as opposed to, say, a Shinji Ikari, who is very weak and remains relatively weak throughout Neon Genesis Evangelion, the characters here start out as strong but broken, and are kind of pushing through that. So, you know, I like that personally. Main pilots have their issues. Most of the other characters are characters in the military who are acting against the main characters, also other side characters, but pretty much everyone here is a fighter or a soldier in some way. The one exception to that is a character named Saji Crossroad, and I single him out because him not being a military character, trying to avoid spoilers here, is important to the overall mood and the themes of Gundam 00. So just pay attention to Saji, keep an eye on him. Voice acting, as usual for a Sunrise Gundam series, no complaints. Everyone's pretty much perfect for their role. There are times when they're rather melodramatic, a little bit more than I personally prefer, but this is a somewhat melodramatic series at times, so fair enough. The story does kind of take its time to get, to chug along, but not as much as many other Gundam series. And part of this is because of something interesting with the show. The staff was basically only given half their money. They were only given the budget for half of a 50-episode mecha series, which is what most Gundam TV series are. And they were told basically, make that many, and if it does well, we'll give you the money to do the other half. So Gundam 00 is basically done in 2 seasons. And that is actually really good because, I mean, you couldn't call Gundam 00 a show that moves at a breakneck pace, especially in the first half. But it is certainly moving forward. You know, in a lot of these 50-episode series, there are long stretches, episode after episode, where it feels like nothing happens. 00 does move, so that I think that was a good idea. And there are some surprises along the way. I mean, you know, it'll just suddenly reveal something to you that is quite a shock, so that's nice. The overall world is realistic, more believable than, say, Gundam Wing or G Gundam, or I would say more realistic. Although, of course, with G Gundam, not even trying to be realistic there. But Double O certainly feels like it's trying to look at modern trends and push them forward and do something a little closer to hard science fiction. You can see this especially in the designs of a lot of the mobile suits and the mecha, where they look like more realistic robot designs and mecha designs. So, in other words, be aware this is not a big, bold space opera-y, flashy series. This is grounded more in real life and things like that. And it's set in actual AD, Anno Domini. The music, I should point out, is by Kenji Kawai, who is a very famous anime composer. He's done the music for Pat Labor and a lot of Mamoru Oshii's works, Ghost in the Shell movies, things like that. So, very well-respected composer, and the music I found was perfect during the series. Big and bold, and then quiet, and so forth and so on. But when I listened to it outside of the series, it actually didn't do much for me. So I don't know why, but it just didn't seem to translate into standalone music. Strange. So overall, that's kind of what Gundam 00 is, a more realistic mecha series with characters who have a lot of issues going to deal with. But I should point out, it is definitely an action series. This is a show with a lot of mecha fighting, and it hits all of the Gundam tropes, which is not a complaint. Gundam has certain things that it does very, very well, and 00, executes on that. One other important thing, actually, about 00, I should point out, is that it's directed by the guy who directed Fullmetal Alchemist, and written by the guy who wrote, Trigun, and a bunch of other things. And the writer is a huge Gundam fan. So there are a lot of little references in Gundam 00 to previous Gundam series. Some of them are more oblique, and some of them are just more there that are fun for fans to catch. This is not like Turn A, where you get elements from previous Gundam series really showing up literally in the series. This is it's a show which harkens back to a lot of different elements of earlier Gundam series in a way that I think works very well. So again, realistic series, relatively serious, but with lots of action. A lot of people like it. I certainly watched it all through the end and thoroughly enjoyed it. So those are my thoughts on 00. Thank you for watching, and if you want to watch 00, please check out streamsuki.com, see if it's streaming out there legally. Other than that, please stop by otakunovideo.net to talk about this and other interesting anime and manga. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. With a tiger?